Right, well, catching great big wobbly carp down the edge is without doubt probably the most exciting thing when it comes to commercial fishing, but it can also be right frustrating on its day when they just simply come in, let you know they're there, and they are a nightmare to get on the hook. So what we decided to do is for today's Submerged, we are going to absolutely lift the lid on all those myths of what them carp do when they come in your peg, how they feed, what the best hook baits are. So many different little tricks to make sure you're going home with more fish on the hook with them big wobbly ones that come into the peg. So without further ado, here is the latest edition of Matrix Submerged.
Right, and Jamie, what's the plan for today?
Well, it is catch some big wobbly ones. That is the plan. But there's so many things that we can go through, isn't there? So we're going to break it down sort of into three things. We're going to have feeding. Firstly, what it takes to get them there. Accuracy, how good my feed is on the bottom with them fish coming in, how quickly they make a mess of it, all that sort of thing. Rigs a little bit, which will be dictated by how the fish are feeding and the conditions.
Yeah,
got a bit of wind today.
Wind blowing in this way, aren't we?
So
yeah.
it could mess things up a little bit, but that's fishing, that's the way it is. And then lastly, sort of hook baits, whether standout hook baits work, changing the peg up, making a new peg, once we've caught a few maybe, introducing something different, just what it does. Obviously, there's so much coincidence in it as well, every day's different, but it's them little things, there's a few things that might open our eyes and go, wow, that really did.
That's one that I'm interested in, is like, if you've got a pile of bait there, do they just suck up everything in sight, or are they picking individual bits out? If you've got a bit of corn, are they going for that bit of corn, or is it just accident that they've just sucked up everything in the swim and just
taken a lot, like they did last time on the first one that we did.
Where they nailed the full ball of pellets. I
think they're going to do the same. I think fish are horrible and they're going to make me look really stupid. But I think what we need to do first, jump on a box and just talk about how I'd like to start a peg.
Right.
Treat it like a normal commercial, which it isn't a commercial, is it? It's a clear water carp lake.
Used to be a match fishery, used to be matches here. The carp have got a little bit bigger. They don't have matches now, and it is clear. So it's probably going to be a little bit different to the norm. But I mean, carp are carp, they've still got a feed, so they're going to come in and hopefully do something similar to what we normally see on a commercial.
But we'll be able to see them for a change.
Yes, very exciting.
Lovely, let's get some bait in. Right, let's get on with it and get some bait in, hopefully catch some fish. So, got a lovely spot. Obviously, lots of things have to be right because we've got a camera in there. Yeah, but I picked a lovely spot that hopefully will dictate the way the fish come in. So we've got a pipe and whatever else, just as I would if I was fishing a normal match. I just want a nice, relatively flat spot that I feel like it is, just sloping down slightly as it goes away from us. So first things I need to think about is what I need to do on a commercial to get them into my peg. Yeah, it's really, really easy on most commercials to get the fish there really quick, just by introducing a load of bait, which is great. But in terms of doing that, what you created can be very, very hard to get a bite, which hopefully we'll show you later on. So very much for my fishing, it's about controlling things from the start. And I find that my best days are from when I keep my feeding regulated from start to finish without ever taking the risk of big potting. That's when I catch the most. As soon as the big potting happens with a lot of bait, big volumes of bait, that's when they can become very, very tricky to catch. So first, I sort of want to show you how I do things. And we might see if they're really, really bad or hopefully they work. So my first introduction of bait is only going to be a small amount. Yeah, sort of golf ball sort of size. And what I've got is 50-50 micros and ground bait. You've seen me do this loads and loads of times. And I want quite a stodgy mix. It's really over-wetted, a claggy mix that's going to stay as accurate as possible when I put it in the bottom. Or when I cup it in, get it to the bottom. So it's not going to be a big cloudy carpet on the bottom. It's going to be quite an accurate pile with a bit of luck. I hope it is anyway. If not, then I've got it very, very wrong. And you lot will be able to see how this goes in. So I don't want it to spread. I want to be 8-inch square. That's what I'm looking at once it's broken down a little bit. So I've got to remember where we're going so don't muck this up. And that should be right on the spot. The wind. Let's see where that goes. I just want that one initial lump, and with a bit of luck, it's going to be right to where I want it to be for you lot to watch as well. And that's all I put in. So you get one there. What I would do, which I can't do today, is my timing's so important on commercials. I want to feed that when I've seen Bob or Fred on the next peg catch one down the edge. Obviously today, all that's out the window. We're hoping they come in. Luckily, we've got a camera there to see if they do. but I only want to put that little bit in, and then I'll watch it as much as I can looking for signs. So I'll choose my depth accordingly. I'll try and choose 2.5 foot if I can get that, and watching as much as you can for signs of when to go over it. That is the key thing when it comes to margin fishing. So what I'm going to do now is sit back a bit, hopefully one will come over that, and then we're going to get rig in and nail the first one that comes into the peg.
This is the first time you've actually seen the underwater camera. Obviously, you've been on the box. We wanted to let you find the spot where you're going to fish.
Yeah.
Plumb up, feed, because we want it to be done really naturally. Obviously, if you'd seen what the bottom was like, if you saw what features and stuff was in the swim, then you might change things how you'd normally do it.
Yeah.
So, first impressions. Firstly, you feed. What do you think that looks like? And also, is the bottom anything like what you imagined?
I think feed I'm made up with. I'm amazed how insignificant it looks. That was a decent bit of feed, or what I'd consider a decent bit of feed. That looks like nothing, does it? It looks like the tiniest little ball of micro pellet.
Look at the size of the lake.
Look at the size of the lake, yeah. They're going to find that. But it's what we need. And again, commercials have so many more fish. They'd find that quickly. Looking at the bottom, I made up where I've put it. That looks like it's the hard bit. But just look, literally, what's that? 2 inches to the left. There's that build-up of sticks all around close to the post.
Where the post is, obviously, as you look at the swim, where the post is in front of you, to the left of that, there's a big build-up of sticks and things like that. But yeah, you put it in the clear spot in front of it, so yeah.
Yeah, that's where we need to be. But imagine you'd fed on them sticks. I mean, I've had a plumb up. I couldn't feel any debris there whatsoever.
When you plumbed up, did that bottom feel like flat?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. I wouldn't even know there's a stone there. Only by looking in the edge. I think there's anything. You'd think it was sand if you were plumbing up. It feels that good. But yeah, imagine how much your day would be dictated if you chose the wrong area though. If you'd picked on them sticks, that's the sort of days when you can feed, get loads of fish in your peg. They'd never find your bait.
Yeah, and every time you lift up, you
get a bit of a bit of rubbish. And because I'm stubborn, I think it'll be all right. Carry on. If you're cooking little bits like that on the bottom, you need to move.
You do, yeah, because it shows just different days. I think naturally people's first thought is the closer I am to the feature and like the stick up there, but I'm going to catch more fish. But picking a clean area close to it is better than actually being on top of the snag fest.
It's massive, isn't it? Yeah, something I definitely need to pay more attention to when fishing in the edges.
Cool. So we've got some bait in. There's no point sticking a rig in there. We can see there's no fish there, but I also think that you probably need to approach it how you would if you was fishing a match. So obviously you wouldn't put one ball of bait in and then not feed again for 2 hours or however long it's going to take for the fish to come in. So what do you normally do? Give it 10 minutes and pop a bit more feed in? Or
probably, yeah. It depends what was going on around me, what people were catching. If I hadn't saw any indications whatsoever, colour turning up, fish swirling, whatever, I probably would leave it up to 20 minutes, but not fish it.
I suppose it's in a different situation, you would do something else. You'd go in the edge, nothing would come in, you didn't see any signs, so you then chuck a feeder out, chuck a waggler out, do something different.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother feeding again, but after 20 minutes I would.
Yeah.
I'd want to feed, at this point, once my bait's in, if I've not seen anything, I'd want to feed 5 minutes before I tried it.
Right.
So I'd give it 20 minutes, feed again, and then 5 minutes later I'd be on that regardless of whether I've seen anything
Let's do that then. We'll give it 20 minutes. If anything pops up on the screen, then we'll get a rig in. But otherwise, we'll feed again in 20 minutes and then see what the response is.
Drag them in. Right, so while we're waiting, we might as well go through the initial riggy bit. I'm not actually a big fan of the rig I want to use to start, but it's probably the most popular style of margin rig when fishing down the edge on every commercial in the world, and that is simply a heavy float with a bulk on top hook length, which is what we've gone with. So kit-wise, what it suits for today, these are a bit angry apparently. So we've got 0.23 to an 0.18 hook length, all big positive kit. But the float, which is the important bit and the shot in, I've gone for 0.3 mudline float, because at first it was a bit calm, but now it's got a bit windy and I wish I'd set a 0.4 up, but it's still got plenty of weight. So in that case there, you can see I've got a 4-inch hook length, but on top of it, I've got 5 number 9 shot. The standard edge rig that we all like to fish in the edge. For me, I like using this rig when I'm fishing against something. I'm not a big fan of it when I'm fishing out into the lake, but it's what I want to start on, because what I'm hoping for is I want to see them spooking off a straight line. I'll elaborate on that a bit more when we're doing it, but I do want to start off with a standard muddy style rig. You can see we've got a big owl hook on as well, a 14 on that. We've got an MXC2 proper heavy gauge wire so we can get these out. But yeah, really, really simple when it comes to rigs. Match with our yellow elastic that hopefully is going to get towed out into the middle of the lake. So as you see, as simple as it comes when it comes to margin rigs. Yeah, it's all about accuracy, having a heavy float with a bulk on top of it or a decent amount of weight to keep it on top of that pile. You've seen how accurate the pile is. It's a tiny little area. I need a float that's going to help keep my bait over it, especially in this wind. It might be a bit tricky. But yeah, that's what we're going to start with. Hopefully one will rock up in the peg in a minute.
Jamie, come and look at this. Look, you'll not believe how many fish are in your swim.
Fish? They're not fish.
They're tiny.
Where's my bait gone? Oh, it's still there though.
Still there. They did cloud it up a second ago because there was feeding on it. It just seems like they're just drifting round, but look at that lot.
No,
Like
look at them.
That's like you see in the sea.
That's like locusts.
That is the biggest shoal.
What do you reckon they are? Are they all little roach or rudd?
Roach or rudder?
They're eating my bait now.
Oh yeah, they are, aren't they? That could be a problem today. If they invade the spot,
Yeah.
are they gonna eat all the micros? So we're gonna have to feed bigger particles, or
Maybe. But you wouldn't know that, isn't it?
Although normally, if you're catching some silvers, a carp come in, they'd disappear anyway, wouldn't they?
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see if they hang about, won't it?
Yeah.
When there's some carp in the peg.
That is a big shoulder.
It's a bait ball, isn't it?
Yeah. It is a ball, like you get in the sea where you see these massive balls of fish.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Look at them, they just keep going. Wow, my pegs are normally like that, but with carp.
Normally they're F1s, aren't they, in your
Yeah.
swim?
That's how they normally are.
Right, just need a carp to bully them out now.
Yeah. We still haven't got to refeed though, there's still a bit of bait, isn't there?
There is still bait there. Just whether you feel like another top up, or do you think another top up now is just going to get mullered by them?
Yeah, I think no bait while they're in the peg. But
Yeah.
I would, if I was fishing now, I'd feed.
Yeah.
But because we got this, the last thing we want to do is spoil a peg. We will fill a peg full of little
Give 5
rods.
minutes. They've disappeared now. If they stay out the way, we'll drop another ball in, I think.
Yeah, get some more feed in.
Be interesting to see if it lands in the same spot as well.
Of course it will.
Confident.
Maybe. Right, so we've been cleared out but by the rudd. But there's been a couple of signs of carpies on the screen. Obviously it's not something I'd know if I was just fishing. I'd have been down there and I wouldn't have caught one yet. But luckily we can see what's going on. So I'm going to introduce, same again, exactly what I put in before. Just one more little stodgy pile, because I imagine that's what happens on commercials as well. You get the little visits where you get the few inquisitive ones, the stupid fat ones like me, that come in for the bait straight away. They're the daft ones that you catch straight away. And that's probably what we're seeing is the initial visitors. All that's happening though is there's no bait for them to settle on because of the rudd. Right, I need to put that right there. That veered off a bit. Did that land all right? How are we looking, boss? Did that look good?
That's landed slightly closer to you than the last one.
Yeah.
Still perfectly in the frame,
Still
probably
good.
3 or 4 inches closer to you. Do you want me to tell you something as well? Just as you was babbling there about to cook that in,
Yeah.
there's 2 fish feeding on the spot.
2 carp on it
There
now.
was 2 on the spot.
Is it worth putting a rig
there's
on?
one back in. The one's going to nail the ball. It's absolutely attacking that ball. That it's gone.
Gone.
Yeah, it's just a puff. Gone.
The lot's gone.
That's
What
just
would I
come
do
in
now
and
if I was
there's
fishing
still
a
some
match?
there's still some bait there. There's still some bait there. I'd put a rig in. There's the feed in.
We can have a go.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm going to go in without feeding because I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't feed now if I'm fishing a match. I'd just go in with my hook bait. And I'd give it probably a minute, see if I got a bite, and then I'd feed again. Just go in with the rig. Where was in shot? That's in shot there, isn't it? Is that the one? Is that in shot?
Leave that there. Ones they've just spooked off for some reason, but they come straight back. They're literally straight back in the background.
How's that rig look? Is it nice and...
There's a million rud there at the minute. And the carp are spooking the rud. 2 carp at the back of the swim, just slowly working their way. The hook bait's right near your pile.
My rig feels like it's moving about a lot, is it?
No, I can't see it moving.
The hook bait looks fairly static.
There's one feeding right on the pile.
I've not seen anything yet that I'd think, oh, there's a fish in my bag. I'd be worried already, thinking there's nothing there because I've had no indications.
There's one absolutely nailing the bait. Bring it back towards you 3 inches.
Yes, that on the spot there.
No, like go a little bit away from the bank.
From
like,
the camera.
Yeah, yeah. 3 or 4 inches away from...
There?
Yeah.
I'm still in shot there.
That's perfect, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so how do we do things? Do we do things from what we're seeing? Or do I fish as how I'd fish now?
I think you've got a fish how you'd fish, and I need to try and keep my mouth shut.
What I do, I think that's the one, isn't it? To begin with.
I just want to see you catch it on camera. I'm basically going to be telling you to lower it in its mouth in a minute.
Right, I'm going to feed again then now, because I would feed again.
Just before you do.
Yeah?
Right. So, based on the fact that you can't see what's going on,
Yeah.
do you think there was fish in your swim then? Or,
No.
Or, no.
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 I'd have came off it. If I were fishing a match now, I'd have come off it.
And there was 4 fish in your swim. One was feeding all right. The other one was absolutely sucking up everything in sight.
Was it? He was troughing.
And there ain't really... There's a little bit of bait left, but not a lot. So, from now on, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
I say we give it half an hour, let you fish how you'd normally fish.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
And I'll say nothing, and then we'll have a little bit of a recap afterwards, and I'll tell you all the things that you've done wrong. The
Lovely,
many things that you've done wrong.
I'm going to feed again now.
Bob on that.
Just let me know that I'm in shot.
Yeah, that's
in case
perfect,
I mess it
yeah.
up.
Yeah. Right, Jamie?
Is it horrible? Like, it's a bit choppy, so I can't see what I'd like to see, any movements. But I'd still say there's no fish in my bag. Right. Obviously there is by your face. But at this point, I would have come off it. Yeah, second feed, I'd have been off it doing something else. And I'd have probably give them half a cup when I came off it as well. Thinking, oh, they've not turned up just yet. So the only thing I haven't done yet, my hook bait is the odd one out at the minute. So we've not fed anything bar micros and a bit of ground bait.
Do what you're going to do. Do what you do, right, Jamie? Feed.
Yeah.
Just come off it. Just sit
Yeah.
there. Pretend you're doing something else. Pretend you're chucking a feeder out. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
feed.
what I do
Yeah.
now is,
And
at that point I'd have been off it and then
Yeah.
let me have a look.
Yeah.
What one are we on? So I'm going to put some corn in because I haven't yet. So at this point I'd put a little bit of what I'm feeding in. Right, so unless I saw one now, a swirl or whatever, I wouldn't go on it. And I'd give it 15, 20 minutes, and then I'd go on it again and give it a try. Believing that they're not in me peg yet. And I'd be convinced there wasn't one in me peg when my rig was in the water then.
Okay.
But they're still there.
So
Peg looks very stirred up now.
when you fed that, there was already on the spot feeding.
They were there. Was there one in me peg all the time my rig was in the water?
Most of the time, or there was at the back of the spot and kept coming in.
Did they?
There's times when you said there's no fish in there, and there's one where it said there, like feeding around the bank.
Right on it.
Yeah.
How's the rig look? How does my hook bait look? I don't like
What's
them. They look horrible.
I did notice when you lift your rig up, the spook. They was fine. They didn't want bothered about your rig until you lift it up. As soon as a bit of corn come off the bottom, they went out.
They went.
Yeah.
Look at these.
Yeah. It's interesting though. There's the second the carp come in, all of them small fish.
One's coming in now, isn't it?
Yeah.
The way they were.
Yeah. They get very erratic. There you go. Look.
Is it two?
That's on there. Look.
Right on the spot. They're very big, are they?
I don't know. I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah. He's troughing. That'd be me, that fat boy on the left.
So obviously there was fish in the swim, there was fish feeding, and you've come off it.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be on it now. Yeah, three in my
there's
peg now.
three there. This thing, there's some competition as well. That's a big fish, that is.
You know what's amazing me? How long they're staying there troughing for.
Yeah, it's got its head down, and it's like, I'm having everything that's
He's
in your
eating.
swim. That's a double figure fish.
I'm having that. Yeah.
It's a nice double
Catch
figure
him in a
fish.
minute.
Yeah.
But I can't cheat. I can't drop rigging
No.
through just seeing this.
He's looking for more food. Like, there's two more feeding behind it.
Yeah.
Three more feeding behind it.
I'm useless, aren't I? There weren't that many when
Yeah.
my rig was in the water, was there?
When your rig was in there was two or three. This is one interesting thing. Is are they bothered by your pole? Because that has definitely kicked off. Is it because you've put more bait in, so they've come in?
Yeah.
Or is it because your pole's not over the heads?
Yeah, a bit of both. We've got to try that without feeding again as well and see if they come back in mooching. See how they're all hanging at the back of my spot as well? That happens all the time, doesn't it? They're so confident. Even though there's nothing above their head, they're scared of the main volume of bait. I think I need to drop back in, don't I? I think I need to assume I've seen a little swirl or something
Yeah.
and have a look at what happens next. Because they're on it. And
They
you
are.
would have. On a commercial, if there's that many in your peg, you'd have seen something.
You'd see it colouring up. I mean, see the swim's a little bit
Yeah.
cloudy, but
There's no way I wouldn't have noticed that many
obviously
fish are
we're
there.
on a gravel pit and the bottom's not silty. On a normal commercial, you'd be seeing the water stir up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd have saw a few tails at this point. Right, I'm
Is
getting
it,
back in.
yeah, the only obviously we've seen them come in. They've ate a lot of bait. When you was going back in now in a normal fishing situation, would you just put another little ball?
Little pot. Yeah,
Little-
not big
little
pot.
Yeah, just do the same.
Straight
Yeah.
in with little pot, see what they do. I'm gonna catch him. Right, fishies. So looking at that, they've eaten me corn that I fed as well. So they weren't avoiding my hook bait necessarily last time. They just didn't get to it. Right. Pile in. Ugh. That were a bite in my eyes, that one. And I've missed it. That's what I'd say.
Think it's a bite.
I'd say it was. Yeah, and I felt that was, Definitely the most positive indication I've had so far. Yeah, I'd have said first one was a liner, second one, yeah, just missed a bite, I'd say. Is that okay? Is that still in? Another be annoyed at myself for striking at that. I'd expect a bow wave then to have happened when I struck then. I'd have thought I'd have pricked one and it'd have left me peg. But it was, again, not a bite, striking at something I shouldn't have. And I'd give it 30 seconds, see if it came back in. No, I'd come in, feed again. Another little indication that we want, feed again. Just interestingly, is there any bait left in me peg?
Yes.
Is there? There's still a little bit of bait in me peg.
Spread over a bigger area.
Yeah.
The fish, if the spook off, never go far away.
No.
Tell you that now. And the only other thing I would tell you is...
I'm really poor at margin fishing.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not
No, don't tell me yet.
I'm not going to tell you why.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't move your rig now, I think you'll catch one this time.
If I don't move me rig.
If you leave everything exactly where it is,
yeah,
I think you'll catch one.
It looks
and I'll
sexy.
tell you why in a minute.
Yeah, it's just that wind. I'd already be wanting to move. No, I wouldn't want to move it yet. Is my hook bait still nice and stationary on the bottom? It's not being lifted and dropped or wiggled about by the movement of my float?
It's wiggling a little bit.
Is it?
Yeah.
So that's what I don't like.
Yeah. Not all the time, but it does every now and again. It does give a little wiggle.
Yeah. So that with this style of rig, you can't really put any line on the bottom. I'm plumbed up to the bottom of my body on this rig because that's how I'd plumb it. And I think because it is a little bit windy, it makes the rig even worse. I already don't like the vertical line, the really straight line, because I think it makes your line is magnified and it makes your bait move and it creates that straight line in the first place.
Do you want me to tell you now what I didn't tell you
Go
5
on.
minutes ago? They seem to be spooking off the rig.
Yeah.
Nearly every time.
Straight line.
The feeding, get near the rig and spook off.
Is now the time to swap the rig?
Not to move anything.
That's it. Leave it there for a sec.
Because I've stuck my neck on the line and said you'll catch on this putt, so.
Okay. Again, since I've refed, I wouldn't have felt there was a fish in my swim.
Name that one white tip. It's got white edges to its scales.
Big horrible liner.
Yep. White tip.
Was it?
Yep.
I want to swap my rig, but is now the time to do that? It is.
I think first thing first, just come and have a look at the swim.
Yeah.
You'll see there's the bait spread.
Yes.
And yeah, do that. Yeah. So come and have a look at the swim. Look at the bait spread, and then obviously you see there's bait. You feed it in a nice tight pile. They come in and it just goes buff.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Do they eat most of it when they first come in?
No, they just kind of like knock it all about a little bit. But I think because the bait spread around, that last one came in between the camera and your rig.
Right,
And
and
as
would
it
it,
went
what, from
back-
this direction
Yeah, so
sort
it
of?
came in from this way. Your hook bait was back here.
Yeah.
Camera's obviously here, and it was in between the two, so I couldn't see your hook bait anymore. And then as it's moved off,
Yeah.
it's knocked into your rig, and then you've struck.
It's bitty one in.
Yeah,
I'll
so
catch it.
there is some nice fish, but they're coming in, feeding really well, getting those down. What I thought you'd catch on that last one was, so you've fed, you've got a pile of bait here.
Yeah.
The fish are all at the back of the swim coming in this way, so you've got a pile of bait, and then your bit of corn was here.
Was it the way
And
they're coming in?
up until then, every single fish pretty much had come in from this direction.
Yeah.
The one time I said you was going to catch a fish, they've been feeding under this pipe and come that way.
This next rig I'm doing though, that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's putting it in.
But
and
see how
flicking it
they're
past.
feeding now? That's like when you said at one point there was no fish in your swim.
Yeah,
that's what
they
it
were
looked
doing
like.
that. That's horrendous.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be impossible not to catch one, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Mm.
But I'm. Should I say anything? They're not picking up many bits of corn.
Aren't they? Yeah,
No.
don't tell me that yet. Yeah,
See,
tell me that.
look,
But he's had it.
He's had it.
He's got a weird mouth.
Yeah.
He's got a little. Yeah, but there's
I
not a
don't-
lot of corn in the peg. There's
No,
only 20 pieces.
Yeah.
I've not fed a lot.
This is what I tend to do. Like even with your pole there, they're coming in, they're feeding, they back off, they come back.
Do you think the pole's making any difference today, being above the heads? Do they change when
a
my
little
rig's in
bit.
the water?
I do think having a pole above the head is making them a little bit uneasy. The spook off when you go in to feed again, you can see them move off and then.
Do they? Before the feed comes in,
before
they
the
back
feed
off?
even comes into the swim, so they know something's going on above the heads.
Yeah. Do you think that's as soon as I put the cup in the water? I'm going to tell you next time when I'm going to put the cup in the water and see if they spook before that point.
Right, okay.
So if it's just a visual thing or whether they hear the cup.
So what do you think about the bait spread? Is that what you imagine the swim to look like by now?
No. I thought it'd have been cleared up a lot more.
Right.
There's a lot of micros there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Scattered all over the place, but there's no accumulation of them.
But when you feed, it is a nice pile. It's going in and it's a nice pile and they do home in on it.
Yeah.
So they are coming in, heads in, feeding on that. It then gets spread around a little bit more and then you get others
Really
coming
want to catch that one.
from other angles, feeding round.
So confident, aren't they?
They are feeding really well. I mean, it's only a matter of time before you catch one.
Foul look one, probably, the way they're
Probably.
moving them.
Looking at what we've seen so far, if you can lay a bait in there and not get a line bite,
Well,
I think you'll
that's.
catch.
I don't think you can avoid a line bite. That's inevitable. It will happen. I just think that rig's horrible. I think if I can put curly rig in, not having a vertical line directly above them, I think that's going to make a massive, massive, massive difference. Should we have a look? Should we have a chat through curly rig before I go in on it?
yeah, talk through your rig.
Talk through
What
that.
you're going to do, and then try it. See what happens.
Yeah, see what that does. See if that makes a difference.
Yep.
Right, so before we quickly whiz in with me favourite rig, I want to talk about me thinking, and this came about at Larford years and years and years ago, in that vertical line, I hate it with a passion. I think they need to get to your bait before they get to your line. So you need shot in, the style of float, and plumbed up in a way that you can actually achieve that. So you're flicking it past your pile of feed. Because once you get to the pile of feed, that's when they're expecting the straight line and they can spook really easy. So, float-wise, gone off the muddy style floats, and I'm on slim, chancy style floats. I mean, a nice slim, in this case, got a big positive bristle. I'd actually like a lighter float than this. I've got a 0.2 in this case. I'd actually like to fish a little bit lighter, but the wind's not letting us today. So I think a 0.2 is about right. Really heavily backshotted. Got 2 number 8s, decent lash to keep me pole away, but those 2 number 8s are vital in flicking my rig out and holding it on a tight line. So my float's actually going to be on an angle when it's in the water. So little fine tuner under there to mark my depth, and all it is a slow spread, it's called me elastic, of number 10. So I've got a 0.2 float on, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 number 10 shot, spread through pretty much the bottom 2/3 nearly of my rig. Yeah, there's no bulk of shot. Yeah, I'm completely relying on my bait to create the anchorage, the heavy bait on the bottom that keeps my rig fairly static. So it's plumbed up a lot differently, this one as well. If I put it next to my other rig, you can see there'll be a bit of stretching elastic, but yeah, I've given myself a lot more. They together, a lot more line on the bottom. Yeah, that's probably got 4 inches. Yeah, 3 or 4 inches of line over depth. So I'm going to create that lovely bit of a curve. I mean, that hopefully should mean that they pick it up before they fill me line. So components all exactly the same, line hooks, all that sort of stuff, elastics. It's a bit heavier, this elastic, but that's just because that's the one I grabbed out my tub. So, without further ado, I'm going to catch one now. If I catch one on this, then that's fishing completed. So yeah, still single piece of corn. I always pick the heavy grains of corn because I want that anchorage. That anchorage is absolutely vital. But other than that, everything remains the same. So we're good? We're good to go in? Yappy?
Yep.
Just on the way in. So they're present now, yeah?
In the background, yeah.
Oh, are they?
Gone. No, they've gone.
Now they've gone already?
Gone.
I'm 1.5 meters away from my peg.
Oh, yeah, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to flip my rig in, forget about my rig for a minute. I might need to shorten the lash. Yeah, I might need to shorten the lash on this, but we'll see. Give it one cast. That wasn't right, that then. Is that piling shot?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, well, I'm not paying attention here. My spot. So keep an eye on that corn coming in because it'll whiz in and then settle. Yeah? So now I'd be dead happy with how that's set. Much happier than I was with my last rig. I think they're bothered when my pole's above them. Do they behave differently to how they're behaving when it's not there?
They don't seem bothered once it's over them. Like now, they don't seem bothered by it. When it goes in, they seem...
Yeah, the initial reaction is to back off.
Yeah.
I actually like that though. I like them not being there when I first put my bait in. I mean, it's a bad thing on a commercial feeding when there's one there, because the feed can actually spook them then and you end up with your pile messed up all over the show.
Just let them know when you think the fish are back.
Yeah, I've not seen an indication yet, but on this rig I'm not going to because I've not got the black block of shot. So any liners aren't going to be as lively as the other rig.
I'll tell you when they're back.
We've been back for hours.
I think I just see one in the background, maybe.
Does my corn look more static with this rig? It's not wobbling about as much.
Yeah, it's there. Yellow.
Did big strike really annoy it?
Yeah.
Really, really annoy it?
Yeah, there's probably about 10 fish feeding.
Was there?
Yeah.
With that many in a peg?
It was black with them.
See bait coming in. You happy with that? You see everything?
Yep.
I'm amazed how my rig's not blowing up the bank.
Yeah, I mean, I can't pick your hook bait out.
Can't you? Let me lay it in again then.
Well, no, just because it needs to clear up a little bit again now.
Ah, right, I'm with you.
If it clears up a little bit, I'll be able to pick it out.
There's a liner then. That was the first liner that I've had that I could really distinguish and not strike at it. Just lay me rig in again because I've upset me kid. See, if this was shallower now, if this was a foot shallow, 8 inches shallower, I'd be seeing lots of swirls and they'd be driving me around the bend now because I've not caught one. I mean, standard, moody, late season margin fishing, isn't it? And the fact that we've had 15 different fish in the peg and I've not caught one. Come on. Am I happy with that? No.
I was going to say, anything like hooking him in the tail.
Was it right in the tail? It felt all right for a second then.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have said a foul looked that.
You wouldn't? You'd said that was genuine?
I thought the bite looked positive enough to be a bite. I
Right.
wouldn't have been shocked if it was in the mouth. Definitely all right. Wasn't a big sexy one, was it?
No, it's common. It was off the bottom.
Was it?
Yeah.
I need to stodge my micros up a little bit. They're just... rig. I nearly want to redo this rig. Is there one in my peg now? Yeah, right, I'm going to lift my rig and re-put it in. Just tell me what it, if it, does it upset them relaying a rig in? Hello. Is that all right? Is that in shot? Yes, it is. And that's in, not, no, got an eel.
Has it come off?
Yeah, proper up to the bummer, wasn't it?
Right. Do you want me to tell you something?
Go on.
That was, how your rig was sat was absolutely perfect.
What, before I lifted it out?
Before you lifted it up. You had your Pollard bait,
Yeah.
your rig coming from that way, your hook bait was right on the edge of the pile of the bait, and you had probably 5 fish around it,
About to
all
eat it.
feeding. There was one, the common that's got a bit of a funny mouth,
Yeah.
was feeding there, like literally, like I thought a matter of time before he picked it up.
Was it? We'd have had it. I only moved it, to be fair, because I thought it was nearly off camera.
No,
I would have left it if I were
it was
fishing.
perfect.
Got it.
You've laid it back in, and obviously you've got 4 feeding fish there. You've laid it on back on top of them.
Have I? It's just a mess.
One's just caught it, and then you fell up it.
I would have got a bite if I were patient.
Oh, if you was patient, I'd have been amazed if you hadn't caught one that time. Yeah. It was all perfect. They're not spooking off that rig like there was the other.
No.
Definitely.
It's amazing me, as a carp had my hook bait in its mouth yet.
The common sucked at it, but didn't have it in its mouth.
It didn't go in.
No. Look, for me, looking at this, I don't feel that a carp has singled out your hook bait at any point.
Yeah.
Like, the feeding, the picking up the micros and stuff, and the right near come, but I haven't seen a fish that's made a beeline for your hook bait.
Yeah, for my bait.
Yeah.
It's not standy outy enough.
No.
But they're not avoiding it. They're not looking at it and turning away. Just plug with it for.
But there's fish there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they there now? Let me know. Yeah, I'm a metre away.
Yep, there's one in the swim, one to the left.
I'm on top of it now.
No, it just spooked.
Yeah, nothing's in the water.
Another one spooked. And there's one that was behind the pipe, behind the post, that's still on the edge of the swim.
Yeah, so that my pot hadn't got near the water then when that one spooked.
So it's literally just the pole over the head that's spooking them.
It's crazy, isn't it? Right, let me get comfy again. Where we going?
They come back quick though.
Are they? They're quickly back on that bait. They're not bothered.
Yeah.
Something happened. It moved. I whacked it.
Yeah, you had a bite. The
First one that's at it.
Yeah, the fish didn't even move though.
Yeah, I just missed the bite, but it ate my bait the first time, did it?
Did not spook off or anything.
Yeah.
Literally just, I was like, I see you strike at the corner behind. The fish didn't move. I thought, what's going on?
Yeah, I proper given it as well. It wasn't it wasn't subtle. But I think that's just luck, isn't it? In that I haven't touched it when I've struck.
But the fish will spook off in 3,
Yeah, I'm a metre,
2,
half a metre.
1.
Pots on the water now.
Yeah, they're at the back of the swim. They've not gone far. Yeah, they don't like the bait falling through the water either.
Don't they?
No.
That definitely puts them off. Line, and then I didn't. Oh, no, I don't know. I had muck on then, so I reckon that was in them sticks or something.
That one wasn't that far. It was over the bait.
Was it still there? I had a bit of muck on my bait then. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you had that liner, one picked up a bit of corn right next to yours.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh. That has to be the next thing, I think, doesn't it? Is swapping hook bait to see at this point whether a standout hook bait's important. Because although they're picking the odd bit of corn up, it's not. Oh, I'm waiting hours for a bite. I'm not getting a bite, even though they've only got. They must have less than 20 options down there in terms of corn. So if we'd not been watching now, and you were sat with me now, I'd say, oh, I've had like 1 or 2 visits down the edge, but they're not really coming in yet.
Yeah.
That'd be me.
You've been fishing. You've had carp in your swim. now for over an hour
Yeah,
and you've not caught one yet.
no. And I'd have said 3 or 4 visits I've had. I've had a couple of bites, but they're not happy yet. That'd be me, me statement.
Anything in your swim there, do you think?
I'd say no. Yeah, just not that I can see. Well, that is the problem with this rig, though. It doesn't show up anything like any other rig would. Not unless it's extreme and it catches your rig and moves it.
I think when you watch this back, in terms of...
What happened then? I've got a load of muck on my bait.
There was 4 or 5 fish feeding in front
Have
of
I
the
struck
camera.
and spooked them all?
Yeah, no one's still right in front of the camera.
Let me drop it again then. I would drop that in without feeding. Is it worth watching now and deciding what changes to make through what we're seeing, rather than just try things blindly?
So looking at from my point of view, what I can see, okay, and then I'll explain to you what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you draw the conclusion.
Okay.
Okay. You feed some micros.
Yeah.
Okay. They come in, and they feed on the micros.
Yeah.
Okay. Your hook bait is just sat there. You've had one pick it up, but other than that, nothing's made a beeline for it. Nothing's made any attempt.
No.
I don't feel like they're singling out any. There's 2 or 3 other bits of corn in there. They're not singling them out, trying to feed on or anything like that. I don't know whether if you put a really standout hook bait out there.
Yeah, that's the obvious next choice, isn't it, I think?
Yeah. Other than that, so I think a standout hook bait, something from to actually pick out and look at, just to get it out of my
I'd rather do
mind.
what I'd do first.
Yeah, which would be...
I'd put a big worm on. I'd put a big bunch of maggots or a worm on.
Yeah.
That's what we naturally do in it as match anglers.
Do that then, standout bait.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I would potentially do, looking at this, is probably cut out the micros and feed like 6s or something.
Get them eating particles.
Yeah.
That needs to be a step after that then.
Yeah.
Getting them feeding on a bait and fishing the same bait.
Micros. They seem very preoccupied with the micros, that's all.
Do they?
So put, a big worm on or 2 big worms, put your umbrella up.
Yeah.
Because that's going to get soaked.
Yeah.
And see if they actually home in on a big bait.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that next. Gonna go standout hook bait. Big dendy bendies on in it. 2 worms on. What am I feeding? Just micros to stop the cloud. Yeah, and just see if a standout hook bait's the one.
So there is 1, 2, 3, 4 in the swim at the minute.
Is there?
So.
But I'd still feed. You telling me that I wouldn't feed, but I'd feed.
Yeah.
100%. So I'm gonna, for this couple of casts, I'm gonna carry on with the pot on, pole mounted pot. Rolly's right in the way, but hey ho. Yeah, this will clear them out the peg. And then I think that's the next step, is not feeding over the top of my rig all the time. Because there can be definitely days when that's so much better. Hopefully the rud aren't too into him. The only thing I would have done with this hook bait, I'd have swapped to a bigger hook, I'd have put a 12 on. How's that looking, boss? You see it? I've changed the way I'm sat and everything, so I might be just off a bit.
There's a million rud at the minute.
Oh, is there?
You know exactly when a carp's going to come in, you suddenly see all the rud start disappearing.
It just changes.
Yeah, there's 2 at the back of the spot.
So, seeing all them rud on camera, yeah, I'd have said there was no silverfish in my bag. There's been no sign of there being a silverfish, has there?
There's one right on your pile now.
So.
can't see your hook bait though, but
I'll try and give it a little waft for you then, just so they can see it. Did you get it?
yeah, I can see it now.
So lay it in again, because I think it's important to be able to see that float.
There's one there now. It's got it.
Oh, I knew that were a bite. Like, I was about to lift it and it...
They've properly kicked the swim up.
It was so different. It was just...
Was it?
What's that been in? 30 seconds with a standout hook bait. Oh yeah, you said they pull a bit. Oh. Yeah, 30 seconds with a new hook bait that was. This is how they were fighting the other day, the glebe. Oh.
It looked like a genuine bite. Like you'd see one come in, just its just mouth down,
Yeah.
and just nail something.
It was just different. I was just about to lift it, but it was a lovely, positive dunk under. It's behaved itself as well. I don't think it's a massive one. So I'll tell you at this point that this elastic's now been in for 2 years, this green stuff.
Don't come out very often then.
No, not very often. Thought I'd throw that one in now. 2 years this has been in for. I'm still not convinced it's in the mouth, but... Oh, no, I am.
Yeah,
now I am.
it looked, the way it went in, it looked very deliberate.
It's
and
tried
then
to pick it up.
you must have then you struck and it just all kicked off then.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
in the
fish
mouth.
bolted out of the swim. But
Definitely
sure, it's
into
a
the mouth.
mirror
I've
as
got a load
well.
of weed on. It's so exciting playing them when it's this clear, isn't it? So different to a normal commercial fish that would be under me feet, sort of dogged. This one won't come near us. I need a gilly to get in lake and net it. Ben. Is that our first submerged proper carp? Love them worms. Oh, he was having them. Right, well, after an hour of fishing, or an hour of carp actually being present in my peg, after an hour before that it took them to come on, we finally got one to take the bait. It has been mind-boggling that they've not picked up my confidence method, if anything. Fishing corn over micros, it's what I do. But to swap baits and get a bite that quickly, surely that can't be coincidence. We'll definitely have to have another go now, but let's get this one back. Lovely example of a big, clever, wobbly carp, or big-ish. And yeah, let's get him back in the lake and catch another one. You got a carp in bag?
2.
Go on, I'm not going to feed, I'm just going to go straight in.
Yeah.
To try and get a bite.
Strip out slow as well. See if you can sneak it in.
Yeah. Manage it.
Yep, not spooked. Just dropped in front of one's mouth.
I think I lost the worm.
There's still one there though. There's 2 in the background feeding. One's probably got its head there. I think he's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, boy. That was like a proper bite.
Yeah,
better bite than the last one. That's a joke. That's the second fish that's came in since we swapped to worms, and it's nailed it again.
You come off?
Yeah.
I thought that was hooked properly.
Yeah, oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah,
that was 1,000,000% in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it come in like that, then you struck and it's just gone out and swim.
Right, well that one fell off unfortunately, but I'm 100% that was in the mouth. I'm certain that was in the mouth hooked. Well, hopefully you can see it on that. I'll just give him another big pot, and all of a sudden I'm like mega confident again. But I think that might be the way of feeding. Big pot, be patient, wait till one comes in, catch it. I think by feeding these little bits, it's great when they're nailing it as soon as you feed, But if they're not coming in like that, oh, you're making a mess of your peg by putting too much cloud, bringing other fish into your swim. I don't know. It's nearly been conclusive that it's so important to choose a bait that stands out, that they want on the day. I think every day's different. I mean, another day, the corn could be the standout bait. I mean, I've caught too many fish in it for it not to be. But not being really stubborn and ringing the changes, that's definitely going to be a massive, massive thing that I need to be less stubborn and do more often, definitely.
There's not hardly any bait in there swim at the minute.
Isn't there? I think we
No,
cleared it
do you
out.
know what I'd be tempted to do?
Go on.
Put like a pot of 6s in or something.
Should do that. Should we go particles next?
I would, just because there's so many rudd there now that I think if you put some more micros in, you're just going to get a million more rudd there.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe with 6s, they might avoid them.
Should we make loads of noise, rattling them in with a cup?
Yeah, see
if that draws them in.
Yeah.
Feed like 100 big particles.
Yeah. I mean, we could always go back over it with micros if it don't work.
Yeah.
But they've cleared the spot now, so it's probably the ideal time to try something. Obviously, they're coming in for that worm. Let's see if what bait you feed with it makes any difference.
Now, as long as it's standout bait, it's irrelevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to feed that many. I'm going to feed 100 6mm. And I'm going to proper make a racket putting them in as well. Go in?
Yep, gone in lovely.
So in this scenario with so few fish, I don't think I'd ever want to feed 6mm and fish one. I think in this scenario where it's the patient, small numbers of big carp, that standout bait's everything.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because looking at that now, they've gone from like having no bait on the spot. We've now got loads of 6mm. I think if you put 6mm on now, it'd be the same as it was with that.
With corn.
With corn. If they pick it up, it's just purely by chance.
Yeah, I think
Whereas
that as well.
I felt every time one of them has picked a worm up, it's been very deliberate.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, identifying the scenario of how your edge is, be it if it's a peg full of smaller fish and regular bites,
Yeah.
and there's a much higher element of competition, that's when you can fish your micros and corn with a bit of corn in, because they're eating everything, they haven't got a choice.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's big fish like this that are grazy, it's that carp angler mentality, isn't it? Of your bait needs to be the one that they go, oh, I'll have a bit of that. That's what I'm not thinking enough of. When I go to the likes of Larford or whatever, catching small numbers of massive fish down the edge, I had it literally last week, where I've tried to do my micros and corn thing, and I'm coming back with fish all the time, but the wrong fish. Whereas the lads next to me are maybe
Catching
fishing
big
double
ones,
wind,
yeah.
and they're not getting many bites, but they're catching a big one. That's what's going on.
It's interesting as well, the rudder have all disappeared now as well.
Have they? Because they've got nothing to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you put a bait in there now, if one comes, there's a very good chance it'll
It'll
have
pick it out.
Yeah.
We're going for it.
I've seen a couple in the background, so
Have you? There's a
they're on
few
the
there.
edge. They've just got to get the confidence to come in. I don't know as well whether them Rudd put them off a little bit.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to a restaurant full of kids.
There's one on the spot now.
Yeah.
There's one coming in
Is there?
feeding. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 coming in feeding.
Are we looking? We got him?
Yep.
Yeah, Pete?
Yep. Joe, if you can come back to you a touch.
Towards
that's it.
me?
Yeah, that's it. Just. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Loving it?
Yeah, that's perfect. Just lay your rig in again now, Jamie.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, you've spooked a couple, but there's a little bit, I think where that pipe comes in,
Yeah.
looks like there's a little bit of wall almost, or something's been disturbed and you're right up it, so you need to come back to you a little bit. So you're going too far towards the post now.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So you'll want to be there-ish.
Yeah, that's perfect. See that? Yeah, that's back where you was before now. That's like where we caught the fish and stuff like that. Yeah,
that looks nice. You
Yeah.
can see it. Same again, if I pull my rig out, it spooked all the fish instantly.
Yeah.
It's weird. You can never get away with it, do you? That one coming back.
Yeah, there's one coming back now. I think he's seen it. I think he's seen it. Oh, no. Is that? But 100% saw that worm and went but just missed it. You could almost see it looked at it, then it went down for it and just missed it.
Did it? It didn't avoid it. It was just
Oh no,
a clumsy.
it went for it and it was an inch away.
I never get it when they do that. Why didn't they go back and eat it? If I missed a bite of my burger, I'm not bothering. I'm going back for it. Yeah, boy. That in the mouth?
Yep,
Is
that's
it?
it, yeah.
That's lovely, like, just nice. A little baby one, though.
Yeah, little mirror.
Isn't it? That worm's ridiculous, isn't it?
It saw it,
Every time.
it's gone for it, missed it. You know, so the other one didn't have another go.
Yeah.
It's gone back
They
again
went
like
back
that.
for
Yeah.
it, didn't it? It's mad, isn't it? And why can they know that they want it? They're not getting a taste of it. That one hasn't eaten a worm in my peg,
No.
but it wants that. That's what it wants on the day. Whereas they have eaten a few pieces of corn, but they won't pick that up. Because everything doesn't make sense because we're getting so few fish in the peg now, which I suppose is what proves it's right. Because when there were loads of fish in my peg, I'd have caught one a bung if I had a worm on the hook.
Yes.
Because now we're
yeah.
getting no fish in the peg and they're still picking it up.
Yeah, if there's the competition there was earlier,
Yeah.
where there's so many fish there that they've just got their heads down and feeding. If you'd put worm on from the start, you'd have been one of them.
It'd have been ridiculous, wouldn't it? That's what I'd like to try and create next, is get them back in the peg. Obviously, that's all dependent on them. He's a pretty one, though. Do you know why I couldn't have it? But lovely, number 2. I'm not going to pick him up, so I'll probably drop him. But things are finally taking shape.
Feed it now. They're not looking.
There's like a swarm of locusts in it when you feed. I wonder why them little ones are so scared to eat it off the bottom.
I don't think they can manage a micro. I think,
Reckon they're that
yeah, I think
small?
they're picking the particles up.
That one coming in?
Yeah, there's one coming in.
Right, I want
They're
it.
just at the back at the minute, but.
Oh, he's big.
Got
Oh,
him in,
oh,
yeah,
he's
you've
big.
got him in the side as
That's
well.
because he's not in the mouth, is he? He's very big. Oh, bye-bye, Rick. Is that proper in the side?
Yeah, so your bait was here, and he's just feeding past it, and his little fin at the side's almost like trapped your hook bait, and then you've gone into the side of it. Right, Jamie, we just lost that one. That was obviously foul looked, wasn't it?
Yes,
but
definitely.
match situation, okay. Obviously, you can see the camera. You've got a bit of an idea what's going on. But if this was a match,
Yeah.
what we're in, we're like what, good 2.5, 3 hours into a session.
Yeah.
You've had 2 fish.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Go home. With me edge, it's one of them, and it's you've got to force something and make it happen. You get to that point, don't you? Generally, an hour to go. You have to make them. Try to make them come in. Yeah, definitely today with what we're doing, we're going to force them to come in or do our very best. It could just be a case that they're not coming in. It could be a day when I'm going to catch one or chuck on a bomb in 10 foot of water,
Yeah,
couldn't it?
yeah,
We can't dictate to them that they have to come in. But that would definitely be the next step, is making commotion, borderline pack up feeding, if that makes sense, where you give them a big hit, make lots of noise. But I think in this case, it's the right thing to do. You can still get a bite. Doing it in the right way with very attractive, tiny baits. You know what I mean? Your micros, your ground bait, the stuff that we always feed at the end. We know that as long as we've got a big standout hook bait on, we can get a bite.
Do you think that, like what you've seen today, will give you more confidence doing that?
Massively.
Yeah.
When I'm fishing for big,
Yeah.
not many fish. It's a massively highlights the fault in my fishing that I fish edges in a very one-dimensional way. I mean, I've got that much confidence in me micros, me pile and me corn, that it's great when there's loads of fish, but I'm suffering on the days that it's not. I'm not being selective enough. I'm not picking that fish out when it comes into my peg. It's coming in my peg and I'm missing it because I've got a bait that blends in.
In today's case, there's 5 fish in your
There's
peg.
10 of them coming in and I'm missing them. But that's exactly what is happening. Because these fish, although they're not massive, they're not normal commercial fish. They're not competing. They're like big fish in miniature.
Yeah.
Aren't they, the way that they're feeding? So, yeah, I think it's time to borderline simulate packing up. So I'm going to put 3 big full pots in of micros, just to put a great big bed out on the bottom, say as if I've packed up, and see if that draws them in, because we're getting later in the day. Hopefully they'll want to come in.
Yeah, I mean, in typical match situation, we are in that last hour, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're looking at, we're not in the, like, it's not evening time, it's still mid-afternoon.
Yeah, it's fishing time.
It is fishing time, so, yeah, let's see what's happened.
Let's see if they come in. See how quickly they respond to it. Right. I'm going to put 3 in. 3 full pots of micros in. And load of noise, load of splashing. Not too much cloud, because we don't want a zillion rud in the peg. We've got half a zillion already. So I'm going to put 3 in, I think. Three pots, but still nothing else, so that I'm always going to have that standout bait. And one more. One more, and that will put a lot of bait on the bottom. I can actually see that bait on the bottom from here.
You just see it glowing.
Yeah.
Surprising how much even the rudd spook off you potting in.
Do they?
Yeah.
They're not.
They come back really quickly, but yeah, they spook really fast.
Are they really quickly? They're leaving the peg. Right, it is waiting time. Now I'm going to almost set the stopwatch and just see how long it takes one to come in on all that bait.
Right, Jamie, we
Yes.
have been about 10 minutes now. So I'll tell you now, after 3 minutes,
Yep.
the first one come in.
Which is
a little
quicker than they were
common.
doing, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So there's just one on its own. Come in, had a little bit of a feed, mooch about, went again. There's 5 there now,
Is
and
there?
they're feeding well. They started feeding off the spot, and they've just moved across onto where the bait is now. So
Oh,
they are.
so they didn't go straight onto
No,
the
they
lump
didn't go
of
straight on
bait
it. Well, like they're homed in on it. They've almost like they've had to build up a bit of confidence and work the way towards it.
because they know that that's. How often does that happen as
Yeah.
well? You see them swirling at the back, and it's the same wherever you go, isn't it? They do the same sort of thing. So I'm best off. If my spot's there, I can actually see it glowing a bit on the bottom still from here. I'm best off fishing off the back of it.
Yeah, you almost want, so the camera's closest to the bank, then there's your feed. You almost want to be slightly to your right,
Yeah.
so that as they approach it, they see your hook bait before they get to the micros.
Yeah. It's going to be the first standout bait
Yeah,
that they pick up,
yeah.
isn't it? Right, we're going for it. Going to catch. Great big wobbly one. Does that look like it's past me lump?
I didn't see it.
I'll give it a little wiggle for you.
No, there's 2 fish there, so I won't wiggle it too much.
Lovely summer weather. Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
If that's in the mouth as well.
I could see the worm hanging out of his mouth.
It's a pretty one as well.
I'm just going to ring the tackle shop.
Yeah.
They can have a kilo of worms, pick up Friday.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? This one's been. This is how
That
I
looked
come
a
in.
decent fish as well.
Oh, is it a bit bigger?
Yeah, it would look decent on camera. But
Yeah, I think it's a popular car. He is. That's the one. Oh, he's lovely, him. Like he's got a little beard going on. But that just shows, doesn't it, how important the standout bait is. There must be 3 pints of bait in that peg. No, 2 pints of bait in that peg. And we get a lovely, what's he? He's the biggest today, him. He's probably about £7. It's a proper, lovely one. On a day when I probably learnt more about fishing than I ever have before in a short period of time. That's been ridiculous. But now it's getting a bit rainy and a bit horrible. So I think we'll have a chat with the boss and just go through what exactly I think has made the biggest differences today.
right, so we've big potted it.
Yep.
Like I say, you wanted a load of fish there. You want to try and look your catch rate. If not,
Yeah. Simulate packing up, wasn't it?
that's what's happened. 5 fish in your swim. They've come in. You've then gone out with your bait. The worms on the bottom.
Yeah.
There's fish. When you bait went in, they drifted off again as they have been doing. But they're soon back.
Yeah.
Right. Just watch this. So your worm's gone in. Load of rod. You'll see them clear in a minute as the fish come in.
They're all there at the
There's
back,
your,
aren't
you
they?
can see your hook bait that's there, look.
Yeah.
Alright, you watch this.
Good
So
at it.
it's, then rod, as soon as you get a few carp there, then rod just disappear.
They do, don't they?
Hook bait's right there, look. See, it just spotted, like, seen it, coming towards it.
Go on.
Gone.
It's like spaghetti, isn't it?
Just straight in, nailed it.
It's proper. Look how it clears the spot after it.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. That is what we're after. It shows the importance of that standout bait. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
The fact that you had a bait in the water for so long to start with, like an hour.
Yeah.
I know you weren't sure whether there was fish in the swim or not, but I could literally see fish there for an hour,
Yeah.
and you didn't catch it.
That was technically the best part of the match, or the best part of our session with the most fish as well.
Yeah, that
Wasn't
first, that was when they was feeding most confidently.
Yeah.
was when you didn't actually catch anything.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee if you'd gone back there now to that first hour, put them worms in, my God, you'd have had one of them.
They've been so different, isn't it? That's been the biggest thing for me. The biggest lesson has been, we almost spoke about it before, but identifying the type of margin you're fishing, as in how many fish you're looking to catch.
And
Like
the
today's
and
a
the
10
spe- and the
fish.
species. I think F1s. I think this is where you need to differentiate between F1s and carp.
Yes, even size of carp, I'd say. Like £5 and above are completely different fish to little carp, aren't they? In the way that they feed in the competition, but yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Genuinely, probably the biggest lesson I've had in fishing for years.
Yeah, and the other thing, which you'll get a chance to watch all this footage back, obviously, when we look back over it, but you'll notice as well that that first part of the session, as soon as you change rigs, they're coming so much more confidently.
Yeah.
So they've come into your rig, and they've always seemed like there's a barrier almost. They didn't want to go past it.
Right.
And then as soon as you've gone to your other rig and like laid it on a little bit more, so your hook bait's there, they still didn't want to come right on top of underneath your float where your rig was.
Yeah.
But they'd come to where your hook bait was.
Without that vertical line in the water. Do you think it's the vertical line or me pile as well? Do you think they want to be at the back of me pile and fishing with a rig with a curve?
They
off
always
the pile?
They're always coming from as you're sat looking at the post from where you are.
Yeah.
They're coming from your right, so they're deeper water. They're coming from there, coming into the edge.
Yeah.
And they never come home straight onto it. When you first fed this morning, one nailed that ball, and that was the only time they've really been that confident.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, they almost feel the way in. So they start in that deeper water, and then they just nibble the way in, and then if your hook bait's that side, it's going to come to it first.
Yeah. So you always need to have it work the way they're coming in.
Yep.
And yeah, it is. But that's fishing.
Yeah.
How often do they do that in all the ways that we fish? Fish past our bait.
Yes.
And we think they're hanging off. They're not. They're just scared to come onto your bait because they've seen it so many times. They edge the way in, don't they? Until you get the big stupid fat
it's
one.
really obvious from watching it today is just how often 2 or 3 times they've come from the side. I know we've got the pipe and the post one side, but a couple of times they've stuck their head through almost, feeding from this side.
Yeah.
And 1 or 2 have come from sort of where you are towards
that way.
it.
Yeah.
But 99% of the times they're in that deeper water, hanging off a little bit,
Yeah.
and then they just come in when they feel like feeding.
No, that has been spot on. Hopefully that's improved margin fishing to the next level, hasn't it?
Yeah,
That's been the best underwater I've ever been part of in terms of learning new things.
In terms of
isn't
just
it?
watching it, it's like this video, just watching the fish, how they behave, how small fish behave. Like, you would never know that there was 10 million rudd in your
Look at them.
So
Ridiculous.
you've caught 1 or 2 and you've had a little indication from a couple of them, but there are thousands in there.
Yeah.
And the obvious thing is, the second those carp come in and feed, they disappear.
Yeah, so you almost don't need to worry about them.
That's it. As we've always kind of thought, if you're catching loads of little tiny fish, there's not carp there, but it's proved it, because the second that the carp arrive, they just disappear. But they're only sitting, I think, just away from the swim.
Yeah.
Because the second them carp move, they're back again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're letting you know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, wonderful day that's been. But it's getting a bit miserable now though, mate, isn't it?
It is horrible.
So
pack up.
we going now?
Home time. Yep.